For decades, the enterprise software industry operated on a simple premise. Companies bought digital tools for their human employees to operate. This built a global market worth hundreds of billions of dollars, all structured around building interfaces for people. Then, the fintech company Klarna made a calculated decision. They terminated their massive contracts with software giants like Salesforce and Workday. Instead of buying software, they chose to build their own internal AI systems to do the work. To see why this threatens the old guard, look at how these companies make money. The traditional software model relies on human headcount. You hire an employee, you buy a new seat. But analyst Ben Thompson identifies a critical inflection: the autonomous agent. The human is removed. An agent interacts directly with the software. It uses a digital harness to verify its own work and complete complex tasks without a person ever initiating the action. Many software vendors are finding themselves excluded from the loop. Customers are building internal orchestration layers that solve problems without ever touching a vendor's interface. This shift from theory to practice is already measurable. We can see exactly where these agents are proving economic value in the market right now. This chart from Andreessen Horowitz shows enterprise AI adoption rates across different departments. It shows that adoption is concentrated in 3 distinct sectors: coding, customer support, and search. These fields are moving far faster than any other part of the corporate structure. If we isolate those 3 sectors, we can see why they are the perfect environments for autonomous agents. They all rely heavily on text-based data and operate with tight feedback loops. In these fields, the output is verifiable. An agent writes a piece of code, and it either runs or it doesn't. For an enterprise, the true return on investment for AI comes from removing the coordination costs of a sprawling human workforce. An agent executes a workflow from start to finish without needing a supervisor to check its status or manage the handoff between departments. But these agents still encounter hard limits. Klarna had to rehire humans specifically to handle complex customer exceptions and nuanced disputes that their automated systems couldn't resolve. The role of the employee is shifting. Humans are no longer machines executing repetitive tasks. Instead, they are becoming the manager overseeing automated loops, stepping in only when the agent encounters an edge case it wasn't built to handle. Powering all of that automation requires an immense physical footprint. Far away from sleek corporate offices, a massive infrastructure expansion is taking place. Passive chatbots only consume significant computing power when a person types a prompt. Agents operate differently. They continuously run verification loops in the background, checking their work, spotting errors, and iterating toward solutions. That autonomy demands heavy processing power. We are watching a direct transfer of economic value. Capital once spent on per-seat software licenses is being diverted into raw compute infrastructure and the data centers required to keep these agents running. Analysts frequently debate whether this spending is a speculative bubble. The data suggests something else. Companies are replacing human coordination with machine logic, and that logic requires endless servers. But beneath the corporate balance sheets lies the hidden architecture of the internet, the open-source ecosystem. This collaborative network is the soil that allowed the tech industry to grow. To see why this foundation is at risk, consider the labor that builds it. 84% of Linux kernel commits come from corporate-funded developers. They use SaaS revenue to pour thousands of engineering hours back into shared projects. But as agents dismantled the traditional software model, that surplus capital is drying up. Companies are pulling back on the corporate labor that maintained the open-source foundation. The financial backbone of the free internet is beginning to fracture. The consequences are already measurable. Critical project maintainers are burning out without corporate support. Foundational code libraries, which require constant human updates to stay secure, are quietly going dormant. By disrupting the enterprise software market, AI agents are inadvertently exhausting the collaborative infrastructure they need to function. If the open-source ecosystem continues to shrink, the AI industry faces a technical crisis known as model collapse. Artificial intelligence models require immense amounts of training data. To effectively learn, they need the diverse, idiosyncratic, and uniquely human data found in the long tail of open-source projects. Because AI generates code so efficiently, humans are contributing fewer original solutions to open-source libraries. This cuts off the supply of fresh, human-generated data that these models rely on. there is a biological equivalent here. Just as a lack of genetic diversity leads to weakness, a lack of data diversity leads to model degradation. If future AI models are forced to train on the synthetic output of previous models, they will become progressively less capable and increasingly flawed. The push toward autonomous software will hit a wall unless the companies extracting the most value also fund the underlying infrastructure. AI isn't just replacing applications, it is exhausting the data and human creativity that made these models possible in the first place.